Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Tessa wants answers, Noah's horrible crash, and Sienna and Holden's past. Haley Aaron's character Claire Grace Newman will encounter a member of Holden Novak's former life. Nick Newman is informed by Sharon Newman that their kid was involved in a horrific vehicle accident. Let's discuss the upcoming events in the CBS soap opera as you continue reading. First, let's go to Los Angeles. Claire has been brought to the city by Holden, who will give her a tour. Claire is introduced to Sienna Bacall, the club's owner, after the man brings her there. Sienna does, however, have a lot to say regarding the women in Holden's past. Sienna brings up Audra Charles, despite Holden's insistence that Claire is merely a friend. Holden's chances of winning Claire over could be ruined by this unpleasant situation. Speaking of Claire, she will encounter a barrier to her escape at the start of the week. It sounds like Victoria Newman is persuaded to give him Claire's hotel address by Kyle Abbott. Victoria is consoled by Nate Hastings in the middle of the week. It seems possible that these two will become close once more. Sharon visited Noah Newman in Los Angeles. Initially, Sharon informed Nick that she was becoming concerned since she was unable to locate their son. Then, shortly after, Sharon called Nick in tears and informed him that Noah had been involved in a horrific accident. Nick and Sharon run into an enigmatic man later in the week. I wonder whether this is the same man who was observing Sharon when she called from the hospital in tears. What role does he play in Noah's crash? To what extent is the young man in trouble? Sharon visited Noah Newman in Los Angeles. Initially, Sharon informed Nick that she was becoming concerned since she was unable to locate their son. Then, shortly after, Sharon called Nick in tears and informed him that Noah had been involved in a horrific accident. Nick and Sharon run into an enigmatic man later in the week. I wonder whether this is the same man who was observing Sharon when she called from the hospital in tears. What role does he play in Noah's crash? To what extent is the young man in trouble? Audra receives a distressing reminder of her history. Billy Abbott and Jack Abbott have a conversation. Where does Billy Flynn's character Kane Ashby go from here? Sharon breaks the heartbreaking news about Noah. Michael Mealer's character Kyle is determined to keep his connection with Haley Aaron's character Claire. However, since Claire left Genoa City to accompany Holden to Los Angeles, his odds of a reunion are decreasing. However, Kyle intends to travel to California in order to get Claire back, so this won't stop him. One person, Victoria, Claire's mother, must assist him before he leaves for the West. This week, Kyle seeks for Claire's address in Los Angeles and updates Victoria on his plan. Is Victoria going to grant Kyle his request? Or will she advise him to leave Claire alone and honor her wishes? Claire and Holden, on the other hand, are taking in the sights and sounds of Hollywood. But when they find themselves in Sienna Bacall's nightclub, their evening takes an unexpected turn. Sienna approaches Holden and Claire's table while they are enjoying their drinks. Holden introduces Sienna to Claire after they both recognize one another. According to Sienna, Claire is superior than Audra, the other woman he used to hang out with. Holden is uneasy and Claire becomes suspicious when Audra's name is mentioned. The journey will inevitably bring up Holden and Audra's past, and Sienna may be the one to reveal their secret. To visit her son Noah, Sharon traveled alone to Los Angeles. What started out as an enjoyable family vacation has now descended into tragedy. A hysterical Nick receives a call from Sharon informing him that Noah has been involved in a serious auto accident. Nick stayed at home to assist Victor with the Kane crisis, even though he was meant to accompany Sharon on the vacation. To be with his son, Nick, however, will board the first flight to California. Nick and Sharon will rely on one another for support as Noah fights for his life. In addition to bringing Schick together, Noah's accident will initiate a major plot point that unites other individuals. More than two key character debuts. Fans are reminded of two significant and eagerly awaited character debuts in The Young and the Restless spoilers for the week of October 13th to 17th. In the Tuesday, October 14th episode, soap veteran Tamara Braun will first appear and introduce YNR viewers to Sienna Bacall, a character who has ties to both Holden Novak and Audra Charles. While Holden is having some vespers with Claire Newman in Los Angeles, fans can anticipate seeing Sienna bump into him. Seeing what Sienna has planned and whether she knows anyone else from GC will be intriguing. In the meanwhile, on Thursday, October 16th, Entertainment Tonight journalist and General Hospital alumnus Matt Cohen will make his Detective Burrows debut. From 2016 until 2019, Cohen portrayed Griffin Monroe on GH. Next week, Jess Walton will continue playing Jill Abbott. On Tuesday, October 14th, YNR viewers may anticipate seeing Jill make a significant choice about Billy Abbott. Having said that, Jill did mention in a conversation with Jack Abbott during the week of October 6th that she would be spending less time in GC this time around because she was preparing to travel to London for a treatment. Can Jill patch things up with her son before she leaves town? She won't be here for long. Will Abbott Communications ultimately be funded by her? To discover out, fans will need to tune in. The week ahead on The Young and the Restless promises to be one of the most emotionally explosive and heart-stopping chapters yet, as tragedy, secrets, and scandal tear through the Newman, Abbott, and Novak families. What begins as a hopeful trip to Los Angeles turns into a nightmare when Noah Newman's life hangs in the balance after a horrifying crash. Meanwhile, in the glittering city of angels, Holden Novak's dark past collides with his present when Sienna Bacall, a woman who knows far too much, steps out of the shadows and shakes the very foundation of his budding relationship with Claire Grace Newman. And through it all, Tessa Porter finds herself desperate for answers, torn between fear and fury as her loved ones face a danger no one saw coming. Noah's disappearance and the heartbreaking news. It all begins when Sharon Rosales senses something isn't right. Her mother's intuition kicks in after she stops hearing from her son Noah, who has been spending time in Los Angeles. Initially, she brushes it off, telling herself that he's busy with his art projects or perhaps caught up in meetings, but when calls go unanswered and texts remain unread, a pit of dread grows in her stomach. Sharon reaches out to Nick, her longtime confidant and former husband, expressing her growing concern. Nick tries to reassure her, insisting Noah is fine, but when Sharon can't shake the sense that something is terribly wrong, she makes the impulsive decision to fly to Los Angeles and check on him herself. When Sharon arrives, the worst happens. A phone call from the LAPD shatters her world. Noah has been in a horrific car accident. The words hit her like ice water: serious condition, critical injuries, we're doing everything we can. A frantic Sharon rushes to the hospital, tears streaming down her face as she prays her son will survive. She immediately calls Nick, her voice trembling, barely able to get the words out. Nick, it's Noah. He's been in an accident. It's bad, it's really bad. Nick's heart stops. He had stayed behind in Genoa City to help Victor with business matters and the ongoing Kane Ashby crisis, but upon hearing the devastating news, he drops everything. There's no hesitation, he books the first flight to Los Angeles, his mind racing with fear and guilt. I should have been there, he mutters to himself. I should have gone with them. The Newmans are about to face their most terrifying test yet. The mystery man and the shadow over the crash. As Noah fights for his life in the ICU, Sharon and Nick are stunned to learn that there might be more to the accident than they were initially told. A mysterious man is spotted near the hospital, the same man Sharon saw lingering around the crash site when she arrived. He appears again, watching her from a distance as she sits outside the hospital, crying into her phone. Who is he, and why does he seem to know so much about Noah's wreck? Sharon's instincts tell her this man isn't just a bystander. When Nick finally arrives, she describes the man's piercing stare, his cold, emotionless expression. Nick, fiercely protective, immediately vows to find out who he is. Could he be connected to Holden Novak or someone from Noah's circle in Los Angeles? Or, more disturbingly, is this part of a bigger scheme tied to Victor Newman's enemies? As the week unfolds, new evidence emerges suggesting the crash may not have been an accident at all. Skid marks on the road don't align with the police report, and a security camera shows another vehicle tailing Noah moments before impact. The mysterious man's presence is now impossible to ignore, and both Nick and Sharon begin to suspect foul play. Holden and Claire's Los Angeles adventure takes a dark turn. Meanwhile, across town, Holden Novak and Claire Grace Newman arrive in Los Angeles on what's supposed to be a refreshing escape from Genoa City's drama. Holden promises Claire a tour of the city, from the art galleries to the beaches, hoping to deepen their bond. Their chemistry is undeniable, but there's a subtle tension between them. Claire still struggles with trust, especially after the chaos surrounding Audra Charles, while Holden hides secrets of his own. Their first stop is the Velvet Room, a high-end nightclub owned by Sienna Bacall, a woman who shares a tangled, scandalous past with Holden. The reunion is immediate and electric. As soon as Sienna spots Holden, her lips curl into a sly smile, the kind that suggests she remembers everything. Holden's expression shifts from surprise to discomfort, and Claire senses it instantly. When Holden introduces Claire to Sienna, the club owner can barely contain her smirk. "So this is the woman who's tamed Holden Novak," she teases. But it doesn't take long for Sienna's words to turn sharp. She mentions Audra Charles, the woman Holden once shared a passionate but toxic connection with. Audra had her flaws, Sienna says coolly, but she understood who Holden really was. The comment cuts deep, and Claire immediately grows wary. What exactly is Sienna implying? What side of Holden has he been hiding? Holden tries to defuse the situation, insisting that Sienna's comments are meaningless and that he and Audra were ancient history. But Claire can't shake the feeling that there's more to the story. As the night progresses, she quietly observes Holden's reactions, the way his eyes dart away every time Sienna speaks. It's clear this isn't just an old fling, it's something much darker, and Sienna seems all too eager to expose it. Sienna's hidden agenda and the past that won't stay buried. Sienna Bacall isn't just a nightclub owner, she's a woman with power, secrets, and a grudge. Her history with Holden is messy, complicated, and possibly criminal. Years ago, when Holden lived in Los Angeles, he was part of a business venture that went south, one that allegedly involved fraud, stolen art, and money laundering through Sienna's club. Holden walked away before the authorities got involved, but Sienna took the fall socially, losing connections and reputation. Now that he's back in town, she sees an opportunity for revenge, or perhaps redemption. She knows that Claire Newman, with her connections to the powerful Newman family, could be her key to getting back into the elite social circle she once belonged to. But first, she wants Holden to squirm. Every comment she makes is calculated to drive a wedge between him and Claire. And it's working. Claire, torn between attraction and distrust, begins questioning everything Holden has told her. "If you lied about your past with Audra," she says later, her voice trembling, "what else have you been keeping from me?" Holden swears he's changed, that whatever happened before doesn't define him now. But Sienna's words echo in her mind, "People don't change, darling. They just get better at hiding." Victoria, Kyle, and Nate's emotional crossroads. Back in Genoa City, Kyle Abbott is growing restless. He refuses to accept that Claire has chosen to leave town with Holden, a man he barely knows and doesn't trust. Desperate to find her, Kyle turns to Victoria Newman, Claire's mother, hoping she'll give him the address of Claire's hotel in Los Angeles. Victoria initially hesitates, she knows her daughter needs space, and she's still processing her own complicated emotions regarding Nate Hastings. But Kyle's determination wears her down. "Please, Victoria," Kyle pleads. "I just need to see her, to make sure she's safe." Eventually, Victoria relents and gives him the information he needs, though she warns him not to push Claire too hard. Nate notices Victoria's emotional turmoil and steps in to comfort her. The sparks between them reignite, hinting that their unfinished romantic business might be rekindled soon. Meanwhile, Kyle books a last-minute flight to Los Angeles, determined to track Claire down before it's too late. What he doesn't know is that he's walking straight into a storm. Not only is Noah fighting for his life, but Holden's past with Sienna is about to explode into public view. Tessa's search for the truth. Back in Genoa City, Tessa Porter receives the devastating news about Noah's crash. The shock nearly knocks her off her feet. she and Noah shared a deep creative bond and remained close even after their romantic relationship ended. Now, hearing that he might not make it, she's consumed by guilt and grief. But as more details about the accident come to light, including the mysterious second car, Tessa's sorrow turns to suspicion. Someone caused this, she insists to Mariah, her wife. I can feel it. This wasn't just bad luck. Tessa decides to dig deeper, calling contacts in Los Angeles and reaching out to people in Noah's social circle. Her determination catches the attention of Detective Burrows, Matt Cohen's debut, a sharp and intuitive investigator who begins piecing together the strange puzzle surrounding Noah's crash. Tessa and Burrows form an unlikely alliance, both desperate to uncover the truth before it's too late. Jill, Billy, and Jack's power struggle. Back home, the Abbott family faces their own set of challenges. Jill Abbott, Jess Walton, announces that she's preparing to leave for London to undergo medical treatment but not before making a major decision about the family business. In a heartfelt but tense conversation with Jack, Jill expresses concern about Billy's recent behavior and whether he's truly ready to handle more responsibility at Chancellor Winters. Jack urges her to trust Billy, he's been through enough, Jill. Let him prove himself. But Jill's skepticism lingers. Meanwhile, Billy and Jack share a quiet, emotional scene where they reflect on their father's legacy and the choices that keep pulling them apart. We keep trying to fix what's broken, Billy says softly, but maybe the real problem is we don't know how to stop breaking things ourselves. It's a moment of truth that sets the tone for major Abbott family developments in the coming weeks. The week ends in tragedy and revelation. As Friday approaches, the drama crescendos. Sharon and Nick receive heartbreaking news: Noah's condition has taken a sudden turn. Doctors rush to stabilize him as alarms blare in the ICU. Sharon clings to Nick's hand, sobbing, "Please, don't take our boy." Across the hall, Detective Burrows approaches with new evidence: the license plate of the car that hit Noah has been traced. The name that appears shocks them all, hinting that someone close to the family may be involved. At the same time, in Los Angeles, Sienna corners Holden once more, her tone shifting from playful to threatening. "You can pretend you're someone new," she hisses, "but I know what you did, and soon, everyone else will too." Claire overhears the confrontation, her face pale with disbelief. The past Holden fought so hard to bury is about to resurface, and Sienna Bacall holds the key to destroying everything he's built. The sterile lights of the hospital cast a harsh glow over the room as Sharon sits motionless beside her son's hospital bed. Machines beep steadily, each sound slicing through her heart like a knife. Noah lies unconscious, bruised and bandaged, his once vibrant face now pale and lifeless. Tubes and wires snake from his body, the only evidence that he's still fighting. Nick stands silently behind her, his hand on her shoulder, his face a mix of grief and anger. "How did this happen?" Sharon whispers, her voice cracking. "He's careful, he's always careful." Nick's jaw tightens. "Because someone wanted this to happen," he mutters darkly. "And I'm going to find out who." Nick Newman's protective instincts roar to life. His son isn't just another victim of a reckless accident, something about the details doesn't add up. The police report says Noah lost control, but witnesses heard another car speeding right before the crash. The mysterious man lingering around the hospital isn't just a coincidence, and Nick knows it. As the hours drag on, the family begins to gather. Faith calls in tears, unable to believe her brother's in critical condition. Mariah and Tessa arrive next, the latter collapsing into Sharon's arms the moment she sees Noah. "He can't die," Tessa sobs. "He can't leave us like this." Her grief is raw, desperate. She and Noah have a long history, one filled with creative dreams, shared laughter, and even heartbreak. But despite everything, their bond has always remained strong. The idea of losing him is unbearable. As Detective Burrows begins his investigation, he approaches the Newmans with a careful calm. "We're exploring all angles," he says. "But I'll be honest, this doesn't look like a typical crash. The skid marks, the impact pattern, something's off. I think your son may have been forced off the road." Sharon's breath catches. You mean, someone tried to kill him? Burrow doesn't confirm or deny. Let's just say, we're not ruling anything out. The revelation sends shockwaves through the family. If Noah's crash wasn't accidental, then who would want to hurt him, and why? Tessa's determination, the trail of clues. Tessa, still reeling, refuses to sit idly by. Her instinct for truth kicks in. If the police won't move fast enough, she tells Mariah, then I will. She starts digging through Noah's recent social media posts, texts, and emails. One message stands out, a cryptic exchange between Noah and someone saved under the initials HN. The messages are vague but suggest tension. HN, you need to stop asking questions. Some things are better left alone. Noah, I just want to know the truth. HN, truth can get you killed in this town. Tessa freezes. HN, could that stand for Holden Novak? Her mind races. She remembers how Noah had mentioned meeting Holden briefly at an event in Los Angeles months ago. At the time, he said Holden seemed charming but sketchy. What if their paths had crossed again? What if Noah was investigating something connected to Holden's shady past? Tessa takes her findings to Detective Burrows, who looks grim as he reads the messages. If Holden Novak's involved, he says slowly, this goes deeper than a car crash. Burrows pulls up Holden's background, a string of failed business ventures, untraceable financial transactions, and a rumored connection to an underground art smuggling operation. Suddenly, the pieces begin to form a dangerous picture. And the most chilling part? Noah had been working on a photography project about corruption in Los Angeles's art scene, the same world Holden once operated in.